Well, hello, my friends. Here we are in the next video. So we need to start exploratory data analysis. So we're going to deal with the missing values first. As you know, we noted missing values in some variables when we got to see all this information about the data set with the info method. So now for some more detailed information, I'm just going to ask ChatGPT a question and find out the numbers and percentages of null values in the data set. So see, there's actually a pre-prepared text when I get to the ChatGPT message section, right? We already know this part. I just want to write our next question in. Yes, in this context, I come to the message section and write something like, I dropped the class who, adult, male, embarked, and alive variables from the dataset. Now I want to see the null values and the percentage of null values in the dataset in data frame format. Can you write the required code? All right, so that looks pretty good. And here we get some answers starting to show up. We're going to wait just a little bit longer to have it complete. All right, so now we can start to review what it says. Well, check it out. ChatGPT looks like wrote the codes that we want. So it's actually assuming that we had loaded the data set first and said that it had written the codes that we wanted. But you see, it dropped the relevant variables from the data set. Now, since we've already done this part, we're not going to receive this code again. It calculates the sum of the null values in the data set in the null counts variable below. So see this? It uses the isNull function. And it also uses the sum function to find out the sum. The null percentages variable below divides the sum of the nulls by the length of the data set. And then it multiplies the whole result by 100, thereby showing the percentage, right? So it's actually converted the results to the data frame format below. And see, it first creates a variable named nulldf. It used the data frame function from the pandas library and placed the column names and values in a dictionary. And if you look here, the first column will be null count. That is, the sum of the null values will be included. The percentage of empty values in the second column is called the null percentage. And yeah, after creating the data frame, it lined up the values, my friends, and it used the sort values function for this. Cool. So if we look inside this function, it determines the sorting according to the null count column. It continues and sets the ascending parameter to false. So see, considering the total missing values, the values from the most to the minimum will be included in the data frame. Then it set the in-place parameter to true because it wanted to make changes permanent. And then lastly, it called the data frame. So yeah, there's an entire information section about the codes at the bottom. But since we've already made that explanation, I don't want to bother with that. If you want to, you can check it out later. But now we're going to transfer the information here to the notebook. So see here, I'll take the part that I want from the code and paste it into the notebook on the right. Yeah, so let's run that code. And see, guys, the output did not come in data frame format because of the print statement. So let me just delete the print statement and rerun it. All right, so this makes sense now, right? And yeah, the percentages and the numbers of the missing values and all the variables are now filled in. And in the meantime, I just want to, well, let me say this briefly. We currently have a data set with few variables, but just imagine for a second that you're working with a data set with hundreds of variables, and you might be able to foresee that the cleaner the code, the more beneficial it'll be to you. So let's just examine the data frame for now. And check it out, my friends. There is an incredible missing value in the dec variable. In fact, it's a total of 77% missing values. So for now, I'm just going to remove this variable from the data set as part of the fight against missing values. because if I fill in these missing values, I might just break the data set structure. Now, before I drop it from the data set, I do want to examine the ratio of the values in it. Okay, so the other variable with a missing value is the age variable, right? And there appears to be a missing value of 20%. Now, I could actually fill in these missing values appropriately, and I'm just making a note of that. And finally, we've got the embark town variable with very few missing values. It's only got 2 missing values. So I want to do a study by subtracting only these 2 values from the data set for this variable. Now see, so none of the other variables have missing values. All right, my friends, so I'll tell you what, why don't we just wrap it up here, and we'll pick it up where we leave off in the next video. All right, I'll see you then.